Well, thank you for tuning in to another episode of Prison Bosses. Um, you could be anywhere in the world, but you're here with us, and we really do appreciate that. And today, I'm excited to hear and share more. This is going to be the first time ever we've had two guests on at one time. Um, and it's going to be an amazing story, amazing journey for everyone tuning in. And so it's with great pride that I introduce you all to Mr. Michael Watkins. Mr. Watkins is someone obviously justice impacted who today is now a district manager at Popeyes. And the coolest thing about it is he brought along his colleague, his assistant manager, Christy Truelove, who is now an assistant manager at Popeyes. And they're going to share a little bit of their journeys, what they've done to get in the positions they're in, and what they're doing today. And so, with that being said, Mr. Michael Watkins, welcomes to the show. It's a pleasure to have you on Prison Bosses.
Yes, sir. I appreciate you, man. I appreciate you. You're one of my idols, man. I just logged in on LinkedIn, and I was like, you know what? It says prison boss. I'm like, yeah. Listen, man, I'm a prison boss.
That's a
So
fact.
I was like, you know what? I'm gonna link up with him, and we gonna get this right, man. We're gonna get this popping. Yes.
Indeed. And I'm happy you did. And you hear that? For the listeners, just quick, you already dropped the jewel. Hit me up on LinkedIn. I always talk about the importance of social media, but more so LinkedIn. That's where the business community meets. That's where engagement happens. And so if you're not familiar with, get familiar with LinkedIn. And so
You gotta get familiar with it.
you got to. And so, Mike, how about you kick it off for us? Tell us a little bit about yourself, your upbringing, what life was like for you pre-incarceration, and maybe even what are some of the things that might have led into your incarceration.
So I was based out of Delaware. Delaware was where my grandmother and my mother and my grandfather originated us from. But we actually originated from Virginia, but we stepped stone into Delaware, which I was raised up into the city. But I knew I had a little country up in me. But it got to the point where my grandmother had 16 kids, and Delaware is real little. It's the first state of Declaration of Independence, not the first state ever founded.
Wow.
So if a lot of people out there didn't know that,
Wow.
Delaware is not the first state. It's the first state of Declaration of Independence. Signage. There's a little history for you.
Love it.
But it comes to the point where my life was around, drugs and prostitution and, a lot of things that I've seen in my life, So my life, it came to the point where, me hustling 100 miles an hour, me staying out 24 hours a day, it's wear and tear in my body. So I got to the point where I was about a good 22 years old. So once I found myself and I said, I'm ready to go to Job Corps. Job Corps did a lot for me. Job Corps, I was actually one of the presidents at the Wilmington Job Corps Center, and I built it.
Wow.
And I built it, and I talked around about 2,000 people in Washington, D.C. for regionals. And that's where I learned my communication at. That's where I learned my business at. That's where I learned my business mindset at. So I was like, you know what? Drugs is not for me. People is for me.
That's
you know what I mean?
Yep.
People. So when you got people, man, you gotta love one another, man. I don't care if they negative. I don't care if they positive. You can always change that negative and make it a positive perspective out of life.
Facts.
As myself.
Facts.
Because I was born in the negative.
Yep.
You can't help that you're born in the negative. You cannot help that.
Agreed.
But you can help your future. You can. It's a proven fact.
That's a fact.
I did it.
There it is.
So I got incarcerated in 2014 off of, I had a crazy female I was married to. Didn't know she was retardation. I was in love with the female, So she, said I hit her and, I did a lot of different things. And I'm like, I try to get you off of me. You know what I mean? So when I try to get you off of me, you're going to call the cops on me and tell me that I hit you several times. And, I told the officer, take me. So they take me, they charge me, and then she go to court and say I didn't do this and do that. So the judge got tired of it. The judge said, you know what, Mr. Walker, this is what we're going to do for you. I need her out of my courtroom, and I need you to rehabilitate yourself because you got the community eyes out here. They saying that you was this, you was that, so I'm going to put you away for 3.5 years.
Dang.
Right? Yes. So I said, in my mindset, I was a little bit highly upset and mad. But you know what? I got to the point where through my bid, I was like, you know what? She was right. I even wrote the judge and told the judge. I told the judge, I said, listen, thank you. for rehabilitating me.
Powerful.
Because when I was in the inside, they didn't take this mind. They took the body.
Ooh.
They didn't take this mind. So
Ooh.
in due time, me here rehabilitating myself, getting to know money management, getting to know everything in the flow of everything. I was teaching others inside. I was a program director inside the institution, learning how to do resumes, learning how to do, just different life skills of when you're ready to get out in incarceration. Because them white walls blind your whole mindset.
Talk about it.
But you know what? I didn't even look at the white walls. I closed my eyes and just think and pray God. So one day on a Saturday, they woke me up and said my brother died. My only brother. He was a big hustler out there. He was giving packs, this and that, I learned off of him, So I said, I try to take that route. And I said, you know what? No, I can't take that route. So in my mindset, I couldn't believe that my brother's still gone. So I was like, you know what? It got me up 4 a.m. Had to go downstairs, eat bologna and cheese sandwich. I couldn't get my sub that day. So I was a little highly upset. But I got into the van. It got like 3 officers in the back of me. I'm going to the mortuary.
Yep.
And I'm like, no, this can't be true. This can't be true. But one thing in my mindset, when I seen my brother in the casket, I was like, you know what, bro? I love you, man. But you live by the gun, you die by the gun.
Very true. We know that.
And that was my strong belief.
Yep.
So I was like, you know what, bro? I took my my rosary off, got it on him, and said, brother, you at rest now. Because you know why? Them streets ain't got you no more. That high power man upstairs got you. And I went upon myself and said, you know what? I'm going to go back to my cell and pray and pray and pray and pray. I pray every day. Yep. Every day I pray. Yep. I said, you know what? When I wrote my goals down, wrote all my goals down. So when I got into the halfway house, which is like a 6 months before you release, I said, you know what? I'm going to utilize these goals and have this safe haven with my book. And I still have my book till today. And I go back into my book and say, you know what? I conquered that, conquer this, conquer that. Because when you first get out, it's like, your world just go. You're like, choom, 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 choom. I'm like, oh, I learned patience in there. I didn't have patience. That was the goal. I did not have patience. You can write down 1, 2, 3, 4, how many goals you want. But if you don't have patience, it's not going to work out. Guaranteed.
That's a fact.
So in my mindset, you know what? I said, bro, I love you. And he stuck this in my mindset. He said, you can't have 2 brothers in the streets.
Wow.
You can't have 2 brothers in the streets.
Wow.
And I said, you know what? He is so right. So then when I came up to Virginia in 2017, my mom said, yeah, son, I got you. I gave my mom $60,000 before I left out in prison. $60,000. I said, Mom, it's for you. Just take care of me while I'm in prison. But I really didn't need that money because you know why? I was a jack of all trades. I was cooking boner. I was, I wasn't wrecking. I was doing my push-ups and stuff, but I wasn't shooting no basketball. I wasn't shooting none of that stuff for what?
Yep.
For what? To make the COs feel happy? To see inmates play basketball? No. No, sir. I'm going to show you where my mindset is at. Martin Luther King said, mine is a terrible thing to waste.
It is.
And I keep that in mindset. You know what I mean? So at the same time, people, it's real. It's real out here. Yep. And I indulge the youth today to let them know it's going to be okay because I was there.
That's a fact.
But only if you listen.
Gotta listen. So
only if you listen.
So question for you. You said that,
yes,
and I think, well, a couple of things for the listeners. One, I'm sure a lot of listeners could relate to going through some things in the relationships, and many of which who are listening to this are incarcerated because of a relationship disputes, and so I'm sure they could relate to that. And I just love how your mentality was you weren't pushing blame. You didn't put it on anybody else. Nope. I love the fact that you wrote the judge afterwards and said thank you.
Thank you.
Something that I've done. I didn't write my judge, but what I have done is I've written my parole officer that once I got home. And I just try to share positive stories with him, keeping him abreast to the things I'm doing because he gave me an opportunity. And so I want him to know that those opportunities don't go squandered. And oftentimes he told me, he said, we don't hear these stories. Like, even when people are doing good, it's not like they reach back out. So we always hear the negative. And so he's appreciative to hear the stories. And he even said himself, it makes him want to go help the next person or give the next opportunity. And so I think that's huge. If once you change and you're doing the right things, to communicate those things to those, to let them know, because you never know what that does for the next person. In addition to that, though, this brother said he went in there, and as we know, prison is in jail is made to eliminate our hope and our dreams. You know, them white walls, as he put it. And I just love the fact that he went in there. He said he closed his eyes to the white walls, and he just started to learn. He started to learn to be able to teach, and then became a teacher inside. And he did so by silencing the noise, thinking, using this right here, and building a relationship with his higher power. I mean, those are all things that every single one of us listening in today could do, should be doing, and I could guarantee you, he's 100% right. It will change your trajectory. And so now he's home. He's backed out of the prison. How do you? What's next? So, do you struggle with employment? Like how did your release and the things you learned while you were released help you to now get on the pathway career wise?
So when I got home, my mom didn't know I was a manager.
Mm.
My mom didn't know these skills that I had.
Mm.
She didn't know anything in that nature.
Mm.
So I said, Mom, I'm gonna show you better. I can tell you. I had a big beard. I was buff. You know, all that boning with the gut.
Yup.
You know, all that stuff. I said, I gotta get this up off me, man. I got to go. So I put this shirt and tie on. You know, cut all my hair off. You know, because they stereotype us with this.
That's
yes, they do.
That's a fact.
So
Facts.
some of this stuff, you take it off. Hey, how you doing today, sir? And share that life story of what you've been through.
Mm-hmm.
They're not going to judge you.
Mm-hmm.
Be real. Be open and honest. Because once I got out, I was making $10.65. $10.65 an hour at McDonald's as a crew member. They said, won't you be a manager? Won't you be a manager? I said, it's not the time right now. He got that for me. He got that for me. I know what I can do. So stayed at McDonald's for about a good 4 months.
Got you.
I got another offer as assistant manager at KFC. Told him my story of what I've been through. He said, I'm going to give you that shot. Man, I showed good numbers. I showed good speed of service. I showed, everything in one, and developed a chemistry with my team.
Yes, sir.
Gave them gifts. Gave them appreciation.
Leadership.
Because appreciation, I don't care if it's $1 out of your pocket.
Facts.
Thank you for the drive-through today.
Facts.
I don't care if you go to Family Dollar. I don't care if you go to Dollar General, go get a glass.
Yep.
Give them something.
Yep.
So I got to the point where I was like, you know what? I started out with $28,000 a year at KFC. I said, you know what? Popeyes called me. When Popeyes called me, I said, sir, I know chicken. Yes, I do. But I don't know the process. I don't know the process of what KFC and Popeyes got, So I got in Popeyes. I said, you know what? There was one lady, she trained me. She was about 60 years old. Okay. I mean, trained me the basics. I stuck with that basics. They said, you know what? He told me I had to pass another inspection. And I passed like 6. I said, can I get a raise, sir? He said, oh, you got to pass another inspection? I said, oh, no, I'm out of here. So I had to go. So I left and went to McDonald's.
Went back.
When I went to McDonald's, they gave me the GM pay. But I didn't like the chemistry because when you inside of McDonald's, you got a manager here, a manager there, manager there. It's so many managers and then they're multitasking.
Right.
That's why we have these long lines, right? You got to multitask. So I was like, you know what? They gave me a trip to Vegas. They gave me all that because I had, speed of service. I had, I'm getting extra money coming to me every 2 weeks. A check. I'm like, what this check for? This is money just coming. I said, you know what? And then you got the grandfather, the grandson, coming in every day, messing up my chemistry. Yeah. I'm like, what are you hiring a GM for? So I gave the keys up. Here you go. Popeyes called me back. They said, sir, we made a mistake. We've seen your worth.
Okay.
She said, yeah, we got this new store coming. We're going to build it from ground zero for you. I said, okay, but you got to start from the bottom again. I said, I did it already. I'm not going to start from the bottom. I'm going to be assistant manager again. Okay. Got there. Bam. Next thing you know, they said, it rised up. Once it rised up, I said, you know what? I got all my people, contact my people. Come on, it's open. Let's go. Hey, how you doing today, sir? Yes, thank you for coming for the newest Popeyes ever. You know, that's what I say. The newest Popeyes ever. They said we love your flow, man. I got music in there. I got jazz in there. I got country in there. You know, I don't play that R&B stuff or stuff that corrodes your mind. You know, it corrodes your mindset. Chief Keef, all that other stuff. I don't have time for that.
Nah, I'm with you.
No,
I'm with you.
that's taking sales out of your mindset.
That's a fact.
No,
Yep.
I need some jazz. I need some flavor so customers can sit there for 30 minutes and eat some good chicken. You know? So I said, you know what? I've been there for like 2 years, right? Next thing you know, I got people in. They brand new. I mean, training. And this is where Miss Chrissy True Love come in effect at. You know, she was my prep lady. Started off as my prep lady. She started out as my prep lady. Man, she was there for me for 8 months. I said, no, you. She said, I'm ready for management. I said, no, you're not. Not right now. You're going to get it done. But watch. Keep on moving forward.
Patience.
Kept going.
Yep.
Kept going.
Yep.
I said, ma'am, go ahead, take this test. Smacked it on her. Bam. She kept asking me questions. I said, no, I'm not doing that test for you. No, I'm not. You better use your mindset.
Right.
She said, yeah, okay. Got you.
And so, you know, one thing, I'm sorry to cut you off, but I just got to point this out to the listeners. I hate for them to miss some jewels. But one thing you said earlier on is you learned the basics. So the senior lady who showed you the basics. Whenever we come home and we're given opportunities, they're always going to try to give us entry level or lower level opportunities. One of the things I always tell us is learn as much as you possibly can. And in doing so, it builds your value with the organization, but it also builds your knowledge base. And like you said, knowledge is power earlier. Like MLK told us, we don't want to not maximize what we got here. Then I also love. You said the money was coming. I'm doing so good. I mastered what I was doing. The money was coming. One thing I always like to tell people, especially people hustlers we were used to hustling, we don't chase money no more. Money chased us. Because once you become a master of something, the money's gonna find you because you bring value. And so I like to always tell people, you don't chase the money. Let get really good at something, and I guarantee you the money will chase you down. And so that's exactly what you were experiencing. And then the last thing I have to highlight is the fact that this brother had worked his way up, right? Got another opportunity, and for many, they would have said, I'm not going to start over again. Why am I going to start all over again? Look what I already did. But one of my favorite analogies is if you use a bow and arrow, you have to pull the arrow back in order to propel it forward. And so sometimes in life, we got to take that little step back, because that step back, once released, we're going to rocket ship forward. And that's what this brother did. And then lastly, I know I said the last thing, but I'd be remiss not to say this. When you get in position, open the door and let others in. And that's exactly what he did. He got in position and then he let others in. And I'll kick it back right off to you.
I love that one. I want them to be better than me, man.
Facts.
So if I got them better than me, I did my job.
Yep.
I know what I can do.
Yep.
I'm just dishing that knowledge and that wisdom off so they can be better.
That's a fact.
You know?
Yep.
Lust, envy, jealousy, and hate, negative.
And so now
if I see negative, I'm moving. I'm getting away from you. Have a good day.
Gotta go. Can't keep that negative energy. Day. That's right.
They like, oh, he said, have a blessed day. Okay, you wonder why I say have a blessed day? Have a blessed day.
That's right. And now you mentioned this is where Christy came in. I'm not sure if she's available yet, but would love to get her to chime in real quick and introduce herself.
So I'm gonna introduce Miss Chrissy.
Okay.
I mean, she did a great job. I mean, she's doing a great job, an awesome job, and she's gonna tell you a little bit more about her. All right, I'm gonna get off, and I'm go ahead, do your thing.
All right. So hey, Christy, how you doing today?
Good, thank you.
Very good. We announced you in the introductions earlier, so they're familiar that you're going to be coming on. But tell us a little bit about your story before we get to where Michael left off. Tell us a little bit about your upbringing and how you ended up being justice impacted.
Okay, so mine started very early in age. 11. I reckon I was 11 years old. My parents were getting divorced. I felt very close to both of my parents then, and it just took me through a lot.
Wow.
And I ended up putting my youngest sister in the car one day, put it in reverse that we was running away, and accidentally put the car in drive, ran up into people's apartment.
Ooh.
That's where mine started. Jumped out the car, left my youngest sister in the car, jumped out the car, went to the swing. She called my grandparents next day. I was out of there. I was out of there. Mine, I've been through a lot, and murder things going on. I was selling drugs for a very long time. I didn't have a direction, of course, after that, and I made it out. I ran away. I mean, I was a habitual runaway. Went to Bonnier Learning Center. That's here in Virginia.
Gotcha.
Stayed there 4 years. Actually, in March, me and Mike will go and talk to them. I feel like
That's awesome.
When you've been through something, it's easy for you to help those who have been when you've been through it.
That's right.
I had my mother just left, and what's so bad is my mother remarried to a guy who was the CEO of Virginia Dominion Power, and went to Enron and all that, and ended up being very rich. I never saw. My mother passed a couple years ago, but I never was able to be a part of that family. So, sleeping in hallways. Finally, I was on the run for like 3 years. I put myself through T.J. Thomas Jefferson High School, had an apartment. I was with a big drug dealer at the time.
Gotcha.
But, I could go out to there and pick any car I wanted to drive. To me, right there, that was good. My mother wouldn't give me my credentials.
Yep.
And, I had no social security card. I didn't have no ID, nothing like that. I just was out here living. I can remember back then it was I'm 52. So back then it was easier to go ahead on and, just apply by paper application and just go in there and start working. You didn't need all these credentials.
That's a fact.
that they expect now.
Yep, you're right.
But anyway, group homes, foster homes, just going through it. Independent living homes. One day, that's when I just threw my stuff across the fence, and that's where I went to. I call my hood now. I grew up, and just started getting around, meeting people. Met my first boyfriend, and kept on going, and we were selling much drugs, and I did much time.
How much time did you end up doing?
So I did 2 years down in Richmond City Jail, and I did 4 years in Chesapeake, working on toll roads, hard time.
Oh, so like when you're in Chesapeake, so once you're locked up there, they have you do like actual work outside of the prison, like
well, you have
labor?
to get to a certain level. You
Gotcha.
got to earn that level.
Gotcha.
So mine was a little bit different. Mine was kind of it still was prison, but you boot camp. I mean, you march, you do these things. It won't. You can't talk. You can't do nothing. You sit still. They used. I got caught talking one time. They were like, "True love, come on, get up on the bucket and da 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 da, and hold your hands up with canteens, 2 full canteens." Yeah, that was a hard time.
Yeah, that's tough.
I think after that, I ain't talk no more because I was always. I ain't talk no more. Now you can get me back up there, no miss.
Right.
But yeah, it was rough. When I came home, I applied. I had money put away. So when I was selling drugs, I had the boyfriend that I was supposed to have. He wasn't no good, and I was the one who did all the running and made all the money while he was sick. And so he didn't know that I was giving my money to my grandparents. I would call my grandpa, meet me at the mall right here, blah, 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 blah.
Yep.
There you go.
Yep.
When I came home, I got a mobile home, put it on a piece of land. I still regress back some. And did it for a while, and then I just had one day I was looking, I had going on it for the drug life. I had it going on, and then I had feds watching me, U.S. Marshal watching me, and I looked out the door, kept seeing them every day. I knew they was coming, and I told my husband at the time. I said, "Look, let me tell you something. Throw the Pyrex away, throw the strain away, throw it all away, because they coming. Because I had to intuit they coming. 4:30 morning, they
They
came.
came.
They came, and
Mm,
when they came, they weren't playing. They
mm-mm,
surrounded. They went through everything I had. Kicked the door down.
mm-hmm,
Went through the refrigerator.
mm,
Went to cabinets.
mm.
Went just tore my whole place up. After that, I said, "Look, they ain't find nothing." But after that, I said, "I'm done."
Smart,
I
smart.
woke up the next morning. I said, "I'm done,"
Mm.
because I've got to be done, and I didn't want to go back and do that. Go back there.
That's a fact. Now, you
You
know
won't
what?
get me back in there.
You said some really powerful stuff. Even the thought process to come home. I love that you bought land. I think that's one thing, and then put the mobile home on it. That's something we always preach, the importance of ownership, and how a lot of times we're consumers, but we need to really think more of an owner. And then it's amazing how that Fed raid, once the Alphabet Boys came, that ended things. Like, it gave you a new perspective. And I think for all of us, there's something that happens, that moment where we're like, nah, this ain't it no more. Like, if I continue down
That's
this
not
path, it's
it.
over, right? And
Right.
so after the Fed raid and you decide, yo, this is it, I'm not doing this anymore. Then what?
So my grandparents had got very sick. Like, I always stayed in touch with my grandparents,
Mm-hmm.
and my grandmother had got lung and bone cancer.
Mm,
So I basically went, and my grandfather had made a decision to, just after all those years, just to leave his house, move into assisted living.
mm,
I took care of my grandparents,
mm,
took care of my grandmother till she passed.
mm.
They had put her in hospice, and
Yeah,
while I was doing that, I got to know people in the facility. My grandfather still, of course, he was living, and also my husband helped me to take care of him while I had a patient down on the same hallway.
gotcha.
Um, but then my mother got sick with
Mm,
alcohol, cirrhosis of the liver,
yep.
and had breast cancer,
Mm,
and I ended up having to take care of her also.
mm.
And then with all this happened, my husband, mom, she passed, and
Goodness
it was just
gracious.
they was in hospital at the same time. Both
Mm,
of them was in hospice, same three doors down.
mm, mm.
Had a lot going on, and
Definitely.
I wanted to, because I've always wanted to take care of people. I've always wanted to get in there and help, help. I always find myself helping others,
Mm,
and I that's what I enjoy.
yep.
And I feel like if I can help a few people out of a handful, I'm doing good.
That's a fact.
I'm doing good.
That's a fact.
And so then I met Mr. Watkins right here. Actually, I
Hey.
had taken my daughter to go, fill out an application. And I was like, man, I'm going to try this. Let me go talk to this man right here.
Wow. Wow.
And even then, he would tell you I was, I was something else. And he told me,
Yes, he was.
he used to tell me, he said, Christy, until I said, well, man, when I'm gonna get out this prep? He said, when you decide to pipe your mouth down, I'll
Mm.
let you come out. I mean, I
Ah.
will let you move forward. But until then, you going but so he's also taught me a lot as we've gone along on
Yep.
this journey.
Mentorship is key. Hey, Mike,
Yes.
you want to jump back in the frame, both of you guys now? And while they're doing that, for our listeners, I want to highlight a couple of things also that was mentioned. And I think the biggest one was, you heard her say her passion is helping others. She was able to identify that with taking care of her loved ones during that time, and she identified that. And I think a lot of times, once we find our passion, we're able to apply it towards a multitude of things. And I would have to imagine that some of her passion of helping others has helped her. So now that's why she is the assistant manager and continuing to climb that corporate ladder, because she's able to help others, but just in a different capacity. And what that's called is called transferable skills. And there's things that we could do in a multitude of arenas or in different scenarios, but it's the same skill set. And so taking care of people could be taking care of loved ones. It could be taking care of people from customer service. And now the next phase is how they're starting to take care of people through their story. And so would you guys like to share now what you guys are doing outside of becoming uh bosses in the corporate space, now how you're continuing to help others in the goal moving forward this year?
So, Miss Chrissy herself called me because I am the district manager. She took the test to be a GM now, so she did pass the
Hey,
test 2 weeks ago.
congratulations.
So I'm working on her with that. It's
Yes.
a lot of stuff that she needs to know,
Yep.
counting inventory and everything in that nature.
I love it.
But she is definitely great to be one of them GMs of one of my stores.
Fire.
Yes.
Prison bosses. I love it.
Yes. So, it just makes me feel so good, man, that, other people are actually listening to my knowledge and wisdom.
Yep.
And it come to the point where Virginia Randolph School, it was a lady that came through Miss Chrissy's drive-through, and she's a principal of Virginia Randolph School. Virginia Randolph is a Black History woman, right? It's a whole school, which they have another school getting built on the side of it, which is still going to be Virginia Randolph.
Gotcha.
Brand new. But the old building is what she had first. If you research,
Gotcha.
you do the research and what she did and how she did things, and it's based on life skills and a lot of different things from back in the history.
Yep.
How she brought 10 people into her home, and when she brought them to the home, she started building up life skills with them. And now look at today, the school is for alternative kids, kids that needs to just need a little bit more structure,
That's right.
because their mom or dad didn't have that structure. They want to do drugs, they want to do this, they want to do that, not paying attention to their children.
Yep.
Which I was in that type of land when I was younger.
Same
so
here.
I understand it.
Yep.
So Miss Chrissy had introduced me to Miss Dr. Ford. She is the principal there, psychiatrist, everything in one. So once she introduced me to her, she gave me the number. I went in for a meeting with her. I bought them like a 24-piece meal, I bought the whole staff, So I'm doing my networking, I'm getting it rolling. So she shook my hand and said, "Thank you, sir. You are a partnership with us." So a lot of students that actually comes inside of that school that's alternative, I'm taking them into Popeyes.
Love it.
I'm taking them to Popeyes because I'm growing managers.
Yep.
Growing managers to train life skills, not just chicken and biscuits.
That's right.
It's not about chicken and biscuits.
That's right.
It's about hospitality.
Talk about
you
it.
give the customer great hospitality. Hey, how you doing today? They might see you on the street 3 years ago. You're not even talking, "Yo, what's up, my man? What's going on?" No, they change their whole perspective as, "Hey, how are you? Welcome to Popeyes. How can I help you today?"
Yep.
You want to give that flavor. Because that's not my real talk. But that's my talk today at business. Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Because that's going to make me grow even more.
Yep.
And you get a lot of negative managers that not willing to change. Guess what? They're getting out the door.
That's right.
Have a blessed one. Because you're not going to corrupt these mindsets of 16, 17, 18-year-olds. You're not. You're not, because I'm empowering. We got 5 more restaurants getting built. Imagine these youth that's coming up 18, they become shift supervisors. They become a career at Popeyes.
Yep. I agree.
You got to get these managers that wants to focus on the youth, because that's your life. That's what's going on. They're going to be politics. They're going to be police officers. They're going to be a president. They're going to be, they're going to be something out of life. Not just dealing drugs.
That's a fact. It's
not going to work out.
I love it. I love the
carrying guns.
The life.
Another thing that we're trying to work on here is, like, we used to have the Boys and Girls Clubs here in Richmond, Virginia area, and a couple more other places, and they've all gone. We have a college now, VCU, that's being built, that has actually taken over a lot of stuff. So we find our kids that's from the projects, that's from these harder areas that are they're just in the streets. They're in the streets, and I have some of them in my store. I've taken some of those kids into my store, and they work with me every day.
Love it.
And some of them they're going through rough things, and this is like going to be one of my main things to with Mike to help change, because we need something for the summertime is ready to come.
Yes.
That's right.
And if we don't have any alternatives, that's why I'm trying to get. They always say to me, Miss Christie. They call me Miss Christie. Miss Christie, can I work a double on such and such day? and or can I have such and such? If I got it, I'm gonna give it to them
That's
because
right.
I feel like, okay, if you're at work, you ain't in no
You're
trouble.
not outside.
You
That's right.
doing.
Yep.
You got money. They saw their first check. I got one who saw his first check. He was like, "Wow, he had it all in cash now." But he was like, "Miss Chris,
Yeah.
look at all this I
like
got,
this.
all this I got." Now, and
Yeah.
I was like, "Yes." I said, "Now
Yeah.
put it back in your pocket, sir.
Right.
Put it
Right.
back in your pocket. I'm proud of you, and you can have more.
That's
You
right.
just keep on working and doing the right thing."
That's right. I love
So
it.
that's all it's about. And so I want to change. That's one thing that's on my mind to get to accomplish that goal
It's
is to
coming.
have something for these kids, these adolescents to do.
Yes, they
Yes.
need it. They need it. There's nothing outside in the streets but guns and
No.
violence nowadays, and especially guns at a all-time high in the streets. We're hearing more and more youth shootings, and I mean, we have in New York State, we have like to raise the age, and so a lot of the youth no longer are get incarcerated for anything outside of violence. And unfortunately, the OGs is steering them on the wrong path because they
Wrong
know the
path.
kids
Yeah.
will get a slap on the wrist until they're 18 or until they do
Right.
something violent, and it's really setting these babies up. And so I love what you guys are doing because, like you said, you're growing managers, you're growing leaders, and it's so much in. I just see the synergies in what we do through our program, our roadmap to success. It's all about teaching people how to go from entry level roles to leadership roles, and you guys are actually
Right.
doing it. And the beauty of that, as you guys know from the lived experience, the same experience I had, I just did it in the hotel industry, but still hospitality. And
Yeah.
I came in from cleaning toilets, and within 6 years, I was a general manager, and then I started my own businesses and went from there. But that's what it's about, because going from that entry level role into those leadership roles, that changes your whole life. Now you're on
Right.
salary, now you're getting PTO, now you have a 401k, things that before I was working in these industries I knew nothing about. All we knew how to get is some all of us, all we knew how to do was get some illegal money, stack it
Man.
away, and
Yeah,
hope
stack it away.
that we it lasts forever.
We all right.
You know what I mean? And
Yeah, that's
so
real.
Mm-hmm.
I love what you guys are doing. I absolutely love it. And I'm hoping that others take note that you could create these opportunities. Both of these individuals who are on this podcast were locked up just like you and me at one point. However, they came home, they put their head down, they're grinding, and now they're opening up doors for others through the experiences they had. So it's possible for all of us to do this. You get out tomorrow, it's possible. Don't turn down the job at McDonald's, don't turn down the job
Nope.
at Popeyes
Nope.
because of what you think the image is or what you've seen. Those are opportunities for career pathways and also
Yes.
opportunities to help others. And so I
Yes.
Yeah.
just love what you guys are doing, man. Now,
Thank
I
you.
know you're working with the schools, I know you're building those pipelines. Are there any other things like do you guys do anything like with the formerly incarcerated populations or anything like that?
So the Reform Act, which we had a big convention. I say about 4 months ago. I'm actually on N.
Mm,
You can actually see me speaking.
love it.
Um,
Love it.
17 cents an hour, man. That was rough in prison.
I
Okay,
agree. I
that
agree.
was
I
rough.
agree. I agree.
So you telling me I can't come out here and do it?
Mm,
Yes, I can.
mm,
And I'm
mm,
gonna keep on speaking that.
mm,
You know. So we getting to the point where a lot of homeless people is out in the Richmond area.
mm,
I'm
mm.
going to be serving hot dog, baked beans, different things. It's going to come up in my mindset for the summertime.
Yep.
I do have everything jotted down. It's just we tackling one thing at a time.
Correct.
One thing at a time, being patient. Because if I'm starting from A to zinc real quick, that's a problem.
That's a fact. Patience, like you said, patience is key, and that's what it's about. How has Popeyes taken a liking to the things that you guys are doing as a corporate?
Look at me now. They love the ideas, man.
Yeah,
They love it. I mean, I
yeah,
still have more ideas. So
yep,
I'm giving it to them one at a time.
yep,
I'm not doing bam, 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 bam. No,
right,
I got that on hold for
yep,
the next 6 months.
yep.
Let's go to the next 6 months because I want to run on no ideas. I'm
Yep.
not doing that. You're not gonna get every bit of that.
I'm with you.
No, no, no.
That's right. Can't give it all. Can't give it all.
It's
Change.
called change, man.
Change.
That's right.
Change. You
Change.
gotta be willing to accept change because if we keep on and just doing what we're doing, then we're in stalemate. We're
Correct.
not checkmate. We
Yep.
ain't learning nothing. We
Yep.
ain't, bringing nothing new flavor to the what's going on
I
here.
agree.
Yes.
Yep. No,
We
I
just
agree.
had a dinner for Popeyes, and Michael bought a whole different flavor. They're used to just sitting there talking about Popeyes. He had the karaoke, we doing
Hey.
different things.
Yep.
So trying to
Hey,
change.
welcome to the new flavor.
That's for sure.
Yes. They loved it, man. I mean, it was real. They said, yo, this is the awesomest party I ever had. A company party ever.
Right.
That's what's up.
Yes.
Everybody was on the phones, getting on there, because he had the big screen.
Uh,
So it was very different from what they're used to
yep. And
here in this area.
that's what happens when we get in position. We think outside of the box. We're not used to see there's a
That's
lot.
the word. We love that
Think
word.
outside of the box. That's what we do. And also the reality is we don't really know the old way of doing things because we're not in that arena. So when we show up, all we know is what we know, and that's what we bring to the
Yes.
table. And then they love it. Like, oh shit,
Yes.
they spiced it up a little bit for us.
Yes.
Each one teach one.
That's
Each
right.
one
Each
teach
one
one.
teach one. That's right.
I had GM of the year,
Talk it.
Yes.
Talk it. Talk it. That's
Yes,
right.
sir.
So now,
Bringing it on, man.
so guys, I always like to keep these short, like about 45 minutes, only because I know, listeners have other things they're doing. And I like them to go back and be able to revisit the podcast. So that way they could pick up on maybe jewels that they lost before. And so as we start to wrap it up, I always like to ask people this question. And since we got two of you, I'll kick it off to both of you. And both of you, just like myself, we were doing things at a young age that led to our incarcerations. I don't know the exact years that you guys both were first time incarcerated. Well, I think Christy, I think you said about 11 is when when you started. Mike, I can't remember exactly when you said about you started, but if you could go back to the younger you, what advice would you give to the younger you to help them maybe get to where you are today a little quicker?
Find another mentor
Mm.
instead of your mother and your father.
Okay,
Okay.
powerful. And why?
Yes.
Why? Can you just dive in a little bit on that one?
Because your mother and your father, they nurture you, right? The people that have been through something, they didn't nurture you. You get my drift?
I like it.
They didn't nurture you, so
Yep.
they can't have their mindset on, hey, I need you to go get something to eat. I
Right.
need you to go. You get what I'm saying?
Yep.
So, as a mentor, you must give it to them 110%.
I agree.
Not no 70s, not no 60s. 110.
Every time. No
Got to.
sugarcoating. No sugarcoating.
Don't sugarcoat nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Don't. I'm telling you, because they're gonna look at you strange,
That's a fact.
and then they're gonna breeze away from you.
That's a fact. And how about you, Christy?
I would say just focus and always be thinking. See, when you're young, you think that your parents or whoever these people are, they don't know what they're talking about. Da 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 da. But all the time, when you get to that point, you're like, I wish I would have listened to this person, this, that, and the third. Don't ever let it be too late.
Yes.
Because it took me. I'm gonna say I'm 52, so it took me many, many, many years to my 40s, in my 40s, to really get to where I'm at to start. And that's just keeping it real.
I agree.
And you need to start putting away money. Think about working, because you're gonna have to. One day you won't be able to work no more.
True indeed.
You got to have a nest egg over here.
That's right.
I mean,
That's right.
Stay focused.
And don't say that you can't teach older. Okay,
It's true.
that's real.
It's true.
Because I hear that all the time. Oh, they stuck in their ways. Da, 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 da. Nobody want to hear that. No,
Right.
they can be taught.
That's a fact. I agree. No, I agree with you both. I think you're 100% right about mentorships. I think you're 100% right about staying focused, as well as being open and listening. Because the one thing that we get as we get older, we get some of this grace, we get wisdom, and we've done it before. Like literally, I try to tell some of the younger youth I mentor, like, I've seen it. You can't BS me because I did it. Like, and if I didn't do it, I know somebody who did it, and so like I know the outcomes. And so I couldn't agree more. I just want to give you guys a round of applause for everything you guys have done. I mean, honestly, it's amazing how you guys are helping individuals the way you are, how you, like you said, how you're growing managers, and how you both have been able to go from prisons and now to being bosses, the true definition of a prison boss. And so I would like for you guys, if you like, we get a lot of outreach from our listeners. Christy, I was mentioning the mic before you joined on how we just did over 90,000 listeners from incarcerated individuals around the country. We're in over 1,400 correctional facilities around the nation. And so so there's a lot of times people listen to these episodes and they want to reach out. And I'm sure if there's individuals in Virginia who are looking for work or who want to explore some opportunities, they would love to get in touch with you
Yes,
guys.
we'd love to have them.
Yes.
So you guys mind sharing maybe your social medias, where email addresses or ways people could contact you guys once they're released, or even some people will literally send letters.
Okay. So I'm not, so when it comes to that, I'm not on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, none of that. Only one I touch base on is LinkedIn.
Talk it.
LinkedIn.
Mm-hmm.
Get me on LinkedIn. You'll see me, Michael Watkins.
Yep.
Yes. Email address, WATKINS, M as in Mary, at Richpop LLC.com.
Rich.
And I will answer your email faster than a phone call.
Hey, love it. Love it. And Christy, how about you?
So I'm also in LinkedIn
Mm-hmm.
as Christy True Love, CHRISTI, and then True Love, TRUELOVE. You can also get me at my email. It's same. It's all lowercase, CHRISTI TRUELOVE 0 @gmail.com. And that's how you can get with me.
Hey, I want to say, Christy, I love your name because I think it sums up what you guys are doing. This is true love by helping other individuals through lived experience.
Thank
And so I want to, again, give you guys both your flowers. I really appreciate you guys joining us today. I know our
Thank you.
listeners are going to really walk away with some jewels, entertainment hearing the story, but the jewels that you guys left are actually what we want them to pick up and start to apply right now, so that
Yes.
that way they could
Yes.
go from being just in prison to also being prison bosses themselves. And so thank you
Yes.
guys for your time. Thank you guys for everything you're doing in the community. And offline, I'm looking forward to connecting with you guys and seeing how we could do more together and continue to have more impact. And so thank you again for being on the show. I want
Yes,
to
sir.
Yes.
thank our listeners for tuning in. Like we started with, we really appreciate you. Please reach out to to Michael and to Christy, and especially if you're in the Virginia area coming home soon, this is a opportunity right here for you to get yourself right into the workforce, working with individuals who understand your struggle and willing to give you a shot. And so with that being said, thanks again for tuning in to Prison Bosses, and we'll catch you on the next one.
Yes, sir.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Oh shoot. All right, almost